In this video, we are going to go over a question on speed time graphs. Okay, so a question says a bus leaves a bus stop and accelerates uniformly for 10 seconds over a distance of 100 meters. Okay, 100 meters, not 100 meters, but just 100 meters. So it says it then maintains the speed it has attained for 30 seconds and finally returns uniformly to rest at the next bus stop. The whole journey takes t seconds. If the two bus stops are 1 km or 1 kilometer apart, the first question says find v. Okay, so it's just highlighted in this case where we have our v right here. Say find v, which is the value of v is supposed to be here. Okay, asking us for the maximum velocity. Okay, then the second one is asking us for the acceleration in the first 10 seconds. So this area that we have here between 0 and 10, this is the acceleration that is needed. All right, then the third one says the time for find the time for the whole journey. All right, so I'll start solving the first question from this part, then the other one we're going to use the other page. Alright, so we are finding the value of v in this case. So we should remember to say starting from this point to that point, the bus was in motion, it was accelerating. Okay, meaning the value of acceleration was increasing because of the value of the velocity that was increasing, because acceleration is just the rate of change of velocity with what? With time. Alright, so we are given to say the distance in that 10 seconds is what? Is 10 meters. So here all we need to know is that we just have to ask ourselves to say, how did we find our distance? So what we have right here, if you can see clearly, this is a right angled triangle. Alright, so meaning for us to find our distance, all we did was we just had to use the formula for what? The formula for finding the area of a triangle. And it's very important for us to find the 100 meters. We need to write all the units that we are using. So we know to say area is equals to what? 1 over 2, okay, 1 over 2 bh, meaning breadth times what? Times height. So in this case, our breadth is what? Is our 10 seconds. Then our height is what? Is v, which is in what? Meters per second. Okay, so what we want to find here is the value of v, which is in meter per second. So our a, we'll take a hours. I'll just use s, meaning distance, is equals to 1 over 2 bh. So our value of s in this case is the distance that we have. Okay, so we say our h is equals to the v. Our breadth is 10, our height is v, but the v which is our height is the one that is unknown in this case. So we have our s, it has been given as what? 100 meters from the statement. We have 100 meters right here is equals to 1 over 2. Don't leave out the units, so that as you cancel out whatever you cancel out, you're going to find that you're going to find the right units for what you are calculating for. So your breadth here is what? Is 10 seconds multiplied by what? The height. The height is what I don't know in this case. Okay, so the height, I'll just say what? V. Okay, or v, because that's what we are looking for. So in this case, you can multiply this side. You are going to have 100 meters is equals to what? 10 seconds v, or v 10 seconds divided by what? Divide by 2. So what you get here is that you can reduce this. This is going to, you say 2 into 2 is 1, 2 into 10 is what? Is 5. So what are we going to have? Meaning we have 100 meters is equals to what? I'll say v 5 seconds. Alright, so I'll have to rub the top part so that I want to answer the first question on this part, and yeah, I hope it's clear there. In case it's not clear, you can try to just take the video for like few seconds behind. So here we have our 100 meters is equals to what? V 5 seconds. Okay, we have our v 5 seconds right there. So we divide both sides by what? By 5 seconds, because what we want to find the value of what? Value of v. This side by what? 5 seconds. The 5 seconds we cancel, 5 seconds we cancel that side. 5 into 100 is what? We just say 5 into 10. Remember, this is seconds, and this is our what? This is our 5. Alright. 5 into 10 is what? Is 2. So 5 into 100 is what? Is 20 times. So we have 20. So now how do we get the units? Remember, on top we have what? Meters divided by the second. Hence we have our what? Meter over what? The second. So our value of v is just basically 20 meters per what? Per second. So that's the most interesting part. Just make sure to say whatever you calculate, as you calculate these such questions, as you solve such questions, write the units, and they're going to give you the value of the units that you're looking for, because we all know speed, or in this case velocity or whatever, yeah, is measured in meters per second. So, and again, let v be, in this case let v represents speed, but because we're talking about speed and velocity, they are two different things. Speed is just distance over time, then velocity is just displacement over what? Time, because velocity is a vector. It does not only have magnitude but has direction. But for speed, we only have the distance right there, and the distance that we have is what? Is also a scalar, and that one is also what? A scalar. Okay, so we go to the next question. So the next question says, find the acceleration in the first 10 seconds. So it becomes easy for us to find the acceleration in the first 10 seconds. So remember to say our value of v is, we have found what? Our value of v, we have found 20 meters per second, and we want to find the acceleration. Hence here we can just put our 20 meters per second. Alright, so such questions are very interesting. If we are dealing with physics, we know to say acceleration is just what? Velocity final, or speed final, minus what? Initial velocity divided by what? The time that is taken. If you're using mathematics, you can use m, which is what? Gradient, which is what? y2 minus y what? 1 divided by what? x2 minus x1. So we are going to use two methods here. We see what we are going to get. So we have acceleration here. So when you go back to our question, our v is our final velocity. Our initial velocity is, at this case, this is our initial, this is our what? Final. Our initial velocity is 0. Alright. Our initial velocity is what? We found 20 minus 0 divided by the time that it took. The time that it took, we have what? 10 seconds. That's the time that we have here. We have what? 10 seconds. So divide by what? 10 seconds here. So again here, very, very important. So let me just rewrite this so that we have our units. Okay. So we have 20 meters per what? Per second minus 0 meters per what? Per second divided by 10 what? 10 seconds. So what we have? We have 20 meters per second divided by what? 10 seconds. So here, remember to say acceleration is just what? Meters per second squared. Now I want to know how we get this whole unit that we have here. Very important. So we divide the 10 into 20. We have what? We have 2. And these units that we have here, remember, meters per second is just the same as you're saying meters over what? Over second. And remember, we are dividing it by another what? Another second here. So you say divide by what? Another second. So what we have here is that you can interchange this. You can have meters over second multiplied by 1 over second. What do you get? Meters over second squared, which is just equals to what? Meters per second squared. Interesting. So meaning we have our what? Meters per second squared. If you don't want to use per, meaning over, you can remember to say 1 over 2, or let me say 1 over x. Okay, 1 over x is equals to what? X to the power negative 1. So instead of me saying m over s squared, I'll just say what? M multiplied by s to the power negative 2. So you either write this one, you can either write m over m per second squared, or m multiplied by second negative 2 right there. So that's our answer. So now let's try to use the method of using the formula for gradient, because in mathematics it requires us to use you can use the formula for gradient. So now we need to find our values of y and our values of what? Values of x. Okay, so we can take our value of y. We have at this point we have our value of y is what? Is 20. Okay, this is our y. Then our value of x at this point, you just go down, it would be what? X would be what? 10. So this side now, what do you have? Our value of y in this case is what? 0. Our value of x at that point is also what? 0. Okay, so meaning what we have is we have 20 comma what? No, not 20, but 10 comma 20. We have 10 comma what? 20. Another values we have 0 comma what? 0. Let us make this as our 2 and this as our 1. Okay, so yeah. Alright, so here we can make this as our 2, then the other one as our 1. So let's say this is our y, this is our x, this is our x, and this is our y. So we just bring it down here, minus our value of y1 is what? 0. Our value of x2 is what? 10 minus 0. So we still have our 20 divided by 10 giving us our what? Our 2 meters per second. That is if we were to use what? Per second square. That is if we were to use what? The units. So you still get the same thing. So that's how you find the acceleration. So the acceleration that we find is just basically what? 2 meters per second what? Per second squared. Yeah. So we go to the last question. Okay, so the last question says find the time for the whole what? The whole journey. So there is another point that is given to say if the two bus stops are 1 kilometer apart. So if you look at the first distance that were given, were given in meters. Then they say the whole, starting from first bus stop to the last bus stop, the distance in between is what? 1 kilometer. Okay, it's 1 kilometer. So meaning the total distance for the whole, from the first bus stop to the last bus stop, meaning from this point, I'll use yellow ink, from this point to that point, because this is the first bus stops and this is what? The last. Okay, so between these two yellow points, what we have is what? Is 1 kilometer. And if you look at the other parts of the question, what we are given is 100 meters. Hence, there is a need for us to convert this into what? Into meters, so that to be convenient for us. Okay, that would be very clever of us. So we have been told to say we have 1 kilometer, and what we want to have is we want to convert this into meters. So we know to say 1 kilometer is just what? Just equals to 1,000 what? 1,000 meters. So meaning the total distance that we have is what? Is 1,000 meters. So now, how is this one related to us finding the time for the whole journey? So remember to say us finding the time for the whole journey is that we had to use, for us to find the distance for the whole journey, we have to use the time. And if you look at the shape of what we have here, this is a trapezium. So we can use the formula for finding the area of a trapezium for us to find the what? The distance. So hence we know to say area of a trapezium is just A is equals to 1 over 2 A plus what? Plus B multiplied by what? The height. But in this case, I'm going to replace what? A with what? I'm going to replace A with what? With S, because I'm talking about the distance. Interesting. So remember to say our A. Remember to say the formula has A plus B and our height. So now I want to illustrate where the A, B, and H are. Okay. So from this point to that point, this is our A, and from 0 to T here, that is unknown, this is our what? Our B. Then from this part here, this is our what? This is our height. So hence we are just getting the values there that we have. So we know to say from 10 to 40 we have what? We have 30. Okay, just the difference of these two, we have 30. Then from 0 to T we have what? T. That is what we are looking for, is unknown. Then our height we have from from 0 here to the top part, which is our V, which is our what? Meaning our height is what? Our height is equals to 20. Okay, so we are saying our A we found what? 30, Our B, we still have T is unknown. That's what we're looking for, by the way. Our height, we found what? 20, because that is just representing the what? The velocity that we had. So our S, we have what? 1000 what? 1000 meters. It's very important again for us to use the units here. Remember to say, we want to find time, the value of t, and it's in seconds. So let's see if we can find the seconds that we have. So our value of a, remember to say, from this point to this point is just a time, and that is our what? 30 seconds. Okay, so we have our what? 30, not 3a, but 30 seconds plus our b we don't have, multiply by what? Our h is 20, and this is our velocity, meaning this what? 20 meters per what? 20 meters per second. Alright, so here what you can do is that make your work simple. Divide 2 into 2 is 1, 2 into the 20 is what? Is 10. So what are you going to have? You're going to have 1000 meters is equals to what? It's equals to 30 seconds plus t, okay, multiplied by the 10 seconds here, 10 meters per second, I mean. So you can expand this. You can expand this, or you can divide what? You can divide the 10 into 1000, then cancel it from the other side. But let's just try to expand it and see what we're going to get. So we multiply the 10 meters per second multiplied by the 30. So what are you going to have? You're going to have 30 what? 30 seconds here. Sorry, 300 seconds. 10 by 30 is what? 300 meters. Here, what we are going to mean with is meters. So the question is, how have we gotten the meters? So here we have meters over second for the 10. We are multiplying by what? Seconds of the what? Of the 30. Hence the seconds will cancel themselves. Hence you have what? Meters there plus. The t by the 10 to be what? 10 meters per second t. Okay, then here what we have? We have our what? Our 1000 meters. We can correct the like terms. We are going to have 1000 meters minus what? 300 what? Meters is equals to 10 meters per second t. So what you're going to have here, you're going to have 300, 1000 minus 300, you're going to get 700. 700 what? Meters is equals to what? 10 meters per second t. So let me just erase the top part. Okay, erase the top part. So what we have is 700 meters is equals to 10 meters per second t. Divide both sides by 10 meters per second. This side 10 meters per what? Per second. This side we are going to cancel like that. Okay, so what 10 into 700 is what? It's just basically 70. So you have 70. And what are the units? This is where it gets interesting. How should we find the value? Because the value of t should be in seconds. So remember to say we have a meter on top, divide by a meter per second on the bottom. So what you are saying is just meter. Okay, so all we are saying is that we have meter divide by what? Meter over the second. So now we can change this to what? Multiplication. This is meter multiplied by what? Second over what? The meter. The meter goes, this meter goes, meaning we went what? 70, which is what? T. So hence the value of t is what? 70 seconds. Yeah, so that's how we go about answering that question. Yeah, thank you. So please don't forget to subscribe so that you'll be the first one, among the first ones to be alerted each time we upload the videos. Yeah, and for those who are in the group, keep on bringing the questions so that to continue making videos and yeah, helping each other in every way possible. Yeah, thank you.